Hello everybody and welcome back to Ethiopia Through the Ages, where we are actually making some really solid push moves here up through Central America. This is going better than I expected, in all honesty. I expected us to be stuck at the Panama Canal for longer. Now they're still going to put up a fight as we push through here, and supplies are going to make this interesting, to be sure. But I think we're going to be doing just fine, supply-wise. I think there's going to be no real problem here. So I'm actually very, very content with what's going on currently. We seem to be holding pretty steady with our manpower, so that is a fantastic sign as well. And of course, it's just going to take us some time to push through some of these regions, but eventually we're just going to keep throwing ourselves at it, and they can't keep this up. This is not something that they can do. It's only a matter of time now before we add North America to our continent collection. We're going to have to invade the Caribbean, of course, as well as a few other random little locations like the Falkland Islands. I think we hold South Georgia, right? Yeah, we hold South Georgia, but we don't hold the Falkland Islands. Now, they're guaranteed by Brazil. Brazil is irrelevant. Brazil is fully irrelevant. So that's wonderful. This is actually the last full-on Inca province, I believe, because this is Inca X15 here, and this is Inca X79. So this is the final Incan province that we are currently fighting over. And we are... I mean, honestly, we're pushing them back. There's not really much else to say. They're in retreat at this point. In we go. Now our supplies over here are in a bit of a dire state. And they got some reinforcements over here. But I fully expect that we're going to restart our movement. Fair enough. Well, we are making some progress here on our infrastructure, looks like. The cipher for Brazil is decrypted. None of these troops that we're fighting right now are Brazilian, so we're not going to utilize it. At least not until we're actually fighting Brazilians. That is definitely a plane that is not intended to be viewed super up close. That was a very low resolution in terms of its texture resolution. Nice. Regardless, they can't hold this off. They simply cannot. We're at 196 out of 44 supply over here. That is a problem. And that is going to potentially slow us down as we approach through here. I do want to check in on our construction over here. Okay. So the major issue that we're having right now is that we've done a lot of damage to the Panama infrastructure, and we're still attacking it over here. You can see that Panama includes this province. Once we have this province under our control, we should be fine supply-wise until we start pushing into here. Now, we should be able to push into here pretty easily, but what we shouldn't be able to do is push into here very easily until we have solid supplies in this state, in Costa Rica. So that is definitely something that is going to be a problem, but we're going to continue hitting this. We need Panama under our control. That said, we are completing our final infrastructure in Balboa momentarily, which will help our supplies in this region. And we are airdropping supplies in theory. Actually, I don't think we are anymore. We may have stopped that. You need to be set to air supply, but there's not enough command power. That would do the trick. Is there enough now? That requires 60? Okay. So like 150, I believe? Yeah, that would be about what we'd need. Okay. So off they go. I doubt they're gonna airdrop too much. 2.01, that's not too bad. That's something. That might be enough to turn the tide in one of these battles, and that's all we need, is one of these battles to have the tide turned. So that's fine. Our biggest issue here is that we are currently repairing our infrastructure in Panama, but we're damaging it faster than we're repairing it. That's our biggest issue right now, because this is still technically a state within Panama. So we definitely need to push these guys out of here. But once we do, we can repair the infrastructure quite quickly. And with the infrastructure repaired, we'll be able to do quite a lot. Now, we are actually fighting Brazilians here, so we may want to consider, if we go into cryptology, deploying our intel against Brazil. Excellent. I was hoping we'd be able to push this province a little bit quicker than this so that we could start to see some good progress up here and get out of the choke point that is this whole area. Yeah, there's another mini choke point here and here, but both of those are 2 provinces wide as opposed to 1 province wide, and that'll be easier for us to get through. Now, we are currently fighting from 2 provinces here. That is something to note. But we're mostly struggling here, just due to the incoming supply. Although one thing I suppose we could do to help alleviate this is build, not naval dockyards, but rather naval bases in these provinces directly, so that we can ship in supplies. We can get started on that. It's not like we're using these civilian factories for anything else. I also want to check in to see if we can build any additional civilian factories. No, we cannot. That's fine. Okay. So there's that underway. Now, we can't really push into them super well, although we are making some progress here, I feel like. I think we are going to push into this with sheer attrition. However, one thing that I think is absolutely the case is they will never be able to push back into us. Not at this point. So that's great. I mean, honestly, their best bet is to land, like, in Spain and attack Europe. That's honestly their best bet. But they don't seem too interested in that sort of thing, so I'm okay with that. I will not correct them while they're making a mistake. Yeah, these battles are going marginally in our favor, I think. I mean, you can see we're losing a lot, but we're also winning a fair amount of the time, and we're pushing these guys back. That's the important thing. We have to keep the pressure up. Eventually, we'll push them back far enough, and we'll push enough of them back that we'll grab this province. And once we do, that will alleviate our supply issues in this state. That said, we also have backup plans in the form of additional naval bases, but I don't expect that to bring in very much supply at all, honestly. I mean, that'll bring in a max of, what, 60 supply here? That would actually be pretty dramatic in terms of a supply increase, but I'm not sure that's how that works at all, considering we're supplying this over land currently. We have, however, completed our infrastructure over here. That's wonderful. You can see here our infrastructure is our bottleneck, infrastructure in Panama. And that's to be expected, since we have heavily damaged that infrastructure, like extremely heavily. 9 stacks of infrastructure repair? Disgusting. That is certainly a lot. Let's check in on our naval situation. It looks like they've pushed us out of this coast a little bit. I'm quasi-okay with that. Quasi-okay. We'll go ahead and bump this up to 99, but I'm not going to assign it to a region currently. Let's see, this one is already in that situation. Perfect, as is this. Go ahead and reinforce these and auto-split off as well. Up to 99. That one looks good. That one's fine. Sure. Kind of awkward that it's got destroyers and light cruisers, but whatever. I guess that's okay. Well, we're going to continue... Whoa, that's a lot of planes all in the same place. We're going to continue attacking these guys, and we're just going to try to grind them down a little bit. We can see here that they've got Chickasaw, and if I recall correctly, we did start to work on a spy network in Chickasaw. Yes, indeed we did. And that is something that I would like to start working on our cryptology for. Like, Suriname doesn't matter anymore. We'll get rid of that. Honestly, Brazil doesn't matter anymore either. And I want to add Chickasaw as a decryption target. I think that they are pretty much the guys that we're up against right now. Pretty much. Things are definitely starting to turn for us over here, though. That's wonderful. A little surprising, considering the supply situation, but, you know, whatever. We can lower the autonomy at this point of Ethiopia Netherlands, and I'm going to do that. However, I don't think that actually gets us anything. Does it crash the game? Okay. It did not. Sure. We'll pop this guy over into this army. And this guy over into this army. Sure. These are probably relatively weak divisions. They're not our divisions. But okay. I'm fine with this. Let's see. Some of these were on the front with us. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. We're definitely putting in a lot of attrition in on them. There's no doubt about that. And we also have some supply bases over here now. That's excellent. Air supply is giving us 2.35. Local supply base is giving us +4. However, I don't think we're getting anything through these naval bases currently. That's fine. It was always a long shot whether that would actually do anything or not. We absolutely have to take this province. That is 1,000,000% what we need to do right now because we're bottlenecked because of infrastructure repairs. That said, look at their supplies. They're not doing so hot on the old supplies. We have 53 supplies to throw at their 46. So we are outpacing them supply-wise through some miracle. I'm okay with that. Eventually, we'll push in there. It'll take some time. But North America is definitely in our sights at this point. I really wish we could get rid of this ugly gap here. Like, I wish we could colonize this. Control-Alt-Click to send a ping. What does that look like? Oh. I'm sure that's not annoying for anybody who I might not be playing multiplayer with. It would also be interesting to nuke it. But, alas, that's not a thing. I think there's just nothing we can do about it. It's just going to remain a wasteland forever. Which does make me sad. That does make me very, very sad. Just an unsightly gap there. At any rate, how are we doing over here? We're definitely outsupplying them here. That's very good to see. They have basically no infrastructure up there, so it's taking them a long time to retreat and move back in. They are moving troops around, there's no doubt about that. But we are outsupplying them in this region, and that is exactly what we're looking for. We should move this army over to, or rather this division over here. That'll be fine. We need to decide what we're going to do with our allies. I have a feeling that taking free India would be very difficult. We might want to just consider people in our faction to be, like, part of our control in terms of when we're switching over to Kerbal Space Program. I mean, they're part of our faction, right? So that might be okay. Meanwhile, Ming, just being jerks over there. The Ming Alliance, we're definitely leaving for last. I want to have North America fully under our control before we attack Ming. Who controls Hawaii? Ojibwa. Okay. Noted. Look at all those in retreat. That's what we like to see right now. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. And our winning numbers are definitely coming up as well. So we need to get in there. One thing we also could probably get away with doing is improving our worker conditions. Yeah, it'll reduce factory output, but it'll give us weekly stability. And our stability isn't super good. So we might want to bump that up a little. We don't, of course, have the political power for it right now. And we do want to work on integrating a couple more of these subjects. Specifically, these guys are who we would want to. We can actually lend-lease them. And we would want to lend-lease them... What is their current autonomy? I didn't even check. We'll say that it's probably like 500. I'll just lend-lease them 1,000 here. What was their autonomy? 200. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. They'll get demoted eventually. They've definitely lost a lot of troops here. Well, they haven't lost the troops. They've retreated the troops. And we're keeping up the pressure. Of course, they're resupplying back here, but their supply lines are really bad through here. Like, really, really bad. So they're going to have a very hard time actually resupplying them. And that, of course, is what we're counting on. They do have more troops on the way in, but I feel like we are depleting their troops faster than they're reinforcing. And that, of course, is the goal. Yeah, they just reinforced a bunch and then they instantly retreated again, because they hadn't built up any organization. So that is wonderful. We currently expect that these battles will last less than a day. These guys have some organization to them. There's no doubt about that. But we're just going to continue pushing them. Yeah, they've moved in a few troops here, but most of them have very low organization. And they'll likely retreat again pretty soon. So that is wonderful. I was hoping that we would make it up here in this episode. I mean, it still could happen. There's a few minutes left, right? But it's definitely looking a little bit sketchy on that front. As to whether we'll... Oh, wait, they're actually all retreating right now. So unless they bring in anybody, then we'll have this province. And there they go. I mean, in theory, we'll push through these guys. Unfortunately, our organization isn't super high, but their organization is plummeting like a rock. They're about to retreat. Sadly, they have delayed us. And there we go. They are retreating. And they have more. Pretty typical. However, it's only a matter of time at this point until they simply can't hold this. And they decide to give it up. Our manpower is actually coming up, which I'm frankly flummoxed by that. Yeah, we have no research. There's nothing to research. Everything is researched. Okay, paratroopers. In you go. What else do we have? They can hop over here? Sure, that's absolutely fine. Well, I was hoping that we would be through this. They just keep funneling more troops into this. I mean, this is a choke point, right? This was always going to be difficult to push through. Once we get to here, it's still going to be difficult because of the supply region. Like, Central America in general is just going to be kind of complex for us to push through. But we can do it, and it will take some time. We may eventually want to drop some air troops, like, up here or something. Do a naval invasion, perhaps. But honestly, I'm reasonably content with our progress pushing through here. It's been slow, but we fully expected that, and we are really bleeding our core enemies here. Chickasaw is currently at about 1 million manpower, sure. But who else is manning this? Let's see, that's Quiche there, Ojibwa, and Brazil. Brazil, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have any provinces to their name. Quiche, they have how much for manpower? 100k. Okay, that's a reasonable amount. Sure. But Brazil should not really be able to do much for reinforcement. Ojibwa and Chickasaw are our major enemies, but they are also the ones doing the majority of the fighting down here. So I'm reasonably pleased with that. Excellent. These divisions can be moved in over here, no problem. You know what? I will have to be right back. I'm noticing the kitten chewing on the power cord. This is not helpful. 1 second. I apologize for that. However, I figured it was probably better than having my entire computer crash and a possibly dead cat on our hands. So, the choice was made. It looks like I didn't really miss anything. They've just been moving troops around over here. Yeah, this is pretty much what I expect at this point. I mean, they're all in retreat right now, but not for too long. That said, we're absolutely crushing these single units. We may push in here. Unless they can get these guys turned around relatively quickly or have another relatively large force on the way in. I feel like we made it in. Okay. These guys are... we reset our progress. Lack of supply. Sad. We were super close there. We were super duper close. How are we doing on supply here? Yeah, it's not really getting any better. And that's to be expected, because we need to be able to repair our infrastructure. But we're attacking into this province and damaging the infrastructure that we need. Okay, well, we'll get in eventually. It's only a matter of time. We can lower the autonomy of a subject. No, we don't need to be in our focus tree. We can lower the autonomy of these guys down to there. Fantastic. And then we're going to need, what, like 800 more? So let's go ahead and lend-lease them 1 million more convoys. And by 1 million, I actually mean about 1,500. Wonderful. And then we'll be able to lower their autonomy again very shortly, down to puppet. Sorry, I was just listening to this music. It sounded really weird when we were down here. But I guess it was just the audio from the combat. When I zoomed out, we didn't have that issue in the slightest. Yeah, we'll get in there eventually. We really do need getting this infrastructure under control. Which of course means we need this province. That's all it boils down to. And they know it. That's why they're fighting so hard for this province. This is the bottleneck right now. There'll be another one up here. And there'll be... Actually, that's kind of going to be it for now. These supply zones are definitely super awkward in the way that they work, though, with the infrastructure damaging from attacking. Because we're damaging the infrastructure behind us by attacking here. It's very strange. But once we take this at long last, then we'll be able to damage this infrastructure, which simply doesn't exist, according to this. Yeah, there's just no infrastructure up here. Or here, or here, or there's just nothing in Central America for infrastructure. Like, nothing at all. Wow, okay. Yeah, just absolute garbage infrastructure over here. Okay. Well, that is definitely something that we will need to work on. For now, though, it is time to put a cut in here. I was really hoping that we'd get a province this episode, but maybe next one. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.